Okay, so this is the second time I'm recording this because a minute in, the last one stopped because I was out of storage. So rookie mistake, and I'm super annoyed, which actually fits the theme of this review. So let's talk wedding season. Were you as confused and annoyed as I was? Because I was very confused and annoyed. Starting with, we have Trish, who is apparently a writer, except they referred to her job as executive assistant, just not a writer. So, confused there. She pitches her boss, who apparently she's just been trying to get a meeting with so she can pitch these ideas to get a feature article. And none of these ideas that she gives are feature material. I am not a writer, and that was painfully obvious to me. And I actually loved her boss and the character and how they wrote her. And she's just like, no, these are garbage ideas. So then finds out that she's going to, 3 weddings in 3 weeks, and is like, duh, there's the article. So Trish is not real happy about it because apparently she hates weddings for some reason, is what was implied, but no story is given, backstory is given to understand that. So she goes to meet up with her friends who are all getting married. It's 3 couples and her. So I was trying to figure out, I thought originally that all 7 of them were friends from high school, but then we find out that Michelle met her fiance at that restaurant. So was he not at their high school? Was that after high school? So I don't think he was part of the original group. And then I don't think they ever said where Sean met his fiance, Laurel. So I was confused about which friends came from where. And then Sean's brother, Ryan, shows up at this party, and she just goes over and starts dancing with him. And I'm like, does he even know that you guys are supposed to be like taking each other to these weddings? Because his brother just pitched that idea to you, and it sounds like you have not seen this guy in forever. And he was not part of the high school friend group because she said that she said to Sean like he was gone before we really started hanging out. So he arrives and she's like all over him, and like, does he even know what is happening? He seemed fine with it, but I was confused. Let's see, what else? So we have these 3 couples, Peter and June. They were very cute with their little, what was it, like a fairy tale rock and roll theme. And they were the sweetest. His idea to surprise her with the first dance being the same song that they danced to their first dance their freshman year. That was really sweet. The whole broken record story was weird. I mean, I guess they needed a reason for Trish and Ryan to spend the day together, but then he offers to go pick up the record they find, which is 5 hours away. So he's gonna drive 5 hours there and 5 hours back for this girl that he hasn't seen in forever, and I like barely knows. Which this is another thing that I was confused about, because he would give certain looks and do certain things, like offer to drive 10 hours. That makes me think he's like had a thing for her since high school, or that like they had maybe an almost thing back then and he's still got a crush. And there was a blurb in the long movie description that Hallmark Media puts out that I swear I remember seeing something about how they have a shared past or something. But then that never came about in the movie. So I don't know, maybe a scene got cut or something, but I was definitely picking up vibes that he was definitely crushing on her. And unfortunately, I was not getting any of that from her, which was also confusing because it's Casey Diedrich. Like how, like he would be looking at her and I'd be like, that is a look. And then she would be looking at him and I was like, do you even think he's cute? And I like Stephanie. She's been in other things and I liked her fine. And I don't know, this one, the chemistry just was not there for me. Even when we finally get their first kiss on the paddle boards, add that to the list of annoying things. They're obviously not on paddle boards. There was obviously a green screen. Like this kiss could have taken place anywhere and I don't know why they decided it had to be there. But again, like it was a good kiss. They even had like that pause right before their lips touch and he like did the hand on her face thing and I felt nothing. My cold, dead heart was not moved at all. So we go to the second wedding, Michelle and Rod, and that wedding does not happen, which this was my favorite storyline out of the whole movie because it was interesting. Like it's better to call it off beforehand than to go through with it and regret it and have a whole lot more paperwork to deal with. And they both were like so much happier after they called it off. And as much as I liked that storyline, I was also a little confused there as well because they go to tell Trish and Ryan that the wedding is off, but she's also not wearing her engagement ring anymore. So apparently the engagement is off, which I think would mean that the relationship is off. And I was surprised by that. I didn't think they would just call it complete quits. Like he's going to London. She can't go to London. Like they both love their careers and that's great. But like he's not gonna be in London forever, is he? I mean, I don't know, maybe he is and that was not made clear. Like maybe it's a permanent research job instead of like a 1-year commitment kind of thing. I don't know. So there was I had mixed feelings about why they called the relationship quits, but I was glad they called the wedding quits. Like if they weren't really sure about it. Then we had the third couple, which was her best friend Sean Peterson. That was another thing. Patterson. And his fiance Laurel, which I loved Laurel's hair. My curls I don't know what they're doing lately, so I had major curl envy of her beautiful red wavy curls. And this couple was like fine. She was freaking out about gluten-free cupcakes, and I really want to know where they live that she can't get any of those in a 200-mile radius. Like, do you live in the middle of the ocean? That just made me laugh. Like, really, you can't just bake a few gluten-free cupcakes for your sister? And Trish was right. Like, she was crying about more things than just the cupcakes. She felt that he had left her to go do this last-minute job. But the reason he did it was so he could have an entire month off afterwards, after the wedding. And honestly, like, if you're getting married in a week, shouldn't everything already be done? Like, are these the worst wedding planners ever? So that just made no sense. I mean, I think the idea was like communication and forgiveness and la-di-da. Just none of it was executed very well or very clearly. So I don't know if scenes got cut. or what happened, but I was just confused about a lot of things. Oh, and then, guys, this movie annoyed me so bad. He gets a call to go photograph this event, the, what was it called? It's like the Aurora Borealis, but in Australia. That's like his dream photography job. Gets the call to go. He can go to the wedding, his brother's wedding, but not the reception. Talks to his brother. Brother's fine with that. But he's like, hey, you were kissing Trish. Like, you gotta go be up front with her. Don't toy with her. Which also confused me because it seemed to imply that Ryan was like a playboy, just picking up and dropping girls. And I was like, that is never the vibe he is giving off at all. So I don't know why you'd think he's toying with her. So he goes to talk to Trish and tell her and that he's got to go. He hates the bad timing of it. And when he gets back, can they kind of pick up where they're leaving off? Because, you know, they're both feeling something apparently. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, yes, you should totally go. You've wanted this for so long. You have to go. I mean, I'm not going to be here waiting for you, so it's like your dream or me, but yeah, you should totally go. What? So you just spent 3 weeks with this guy and like him taking one little trip is like a deal breaker? I mean, he's not going for 6 years. And then almost even more annoyingly, or like in fact more annoyingly, he doesn't go. Like, what? This girl you like barely knew from high school apparently. You've just hung out for like 3 weeks. You have no idea if this is like gonna go anywhere real, and you're willing to give up this thing that you have been working towards and dreaming of doing like your whole photography career. No, you're stupid. Like, if she's not willing to, and that was the problem with his ex-girlfriend too. She wasn't supportive. Like, if she's not going to support you doing what you love to do, like what lights you up, what brings you joy, what fulfills you, like, go to that job and meet some girl in Australia, because she does not deserve you. I'm sorry, I was just mad at both of them. A much better ending, I think, would have been for her to be like at the reception, like just totally regretting it, wishing he was there, and realizing that, like, yes, these 3 wedding experiences have changed her mind, and she's no longer scared of getting hurt and falling in love, which it was never clear why she had issues with that anyways. And then she would like race to the airport, not to stop him, but just to catch him before he leaves, and be like, yes, I'm sorry, I feel it, I'm falling for you, I totally want to try when you get back. Have fun in Australia. You know? And she's a writer, like, can't she probably write from multiple locations so like she could travel with him sometimes? These 2 things just did not seem as incompatible as they were making it out to be. So, I don't know, guys. This movie was just a giant miss for me. I don't know. Did you like it? Like, were you annoyed and confused as well? I would love to see the gal that played Michelle. I think her name is Louisa. I would love to see her in a lead Hallmark role, actually. I loved her and thought she was great. I think she's done other Hallmark movies before as side characters. But I would love to see her in a lead. And I'd love to see Casey again. I liked his last movie with Emily Osment, the Christmas one. Had a little 16 Candles vibe. That was cute. And actually Stephanie's last movie at Christmas was an ensemble cast too. It was that class reunion one. I'm always excited for ensemble movies, but then I'm always disappointed because there's just not enough time for them to dive far enough into each character's story to make us care about them. And if they do, then they're probably not diving deep enough onto the main characters to make us care about them. So I kind of end up not caring much about anybody when they do these, which is so sad. But I'm kind of hoping with The Way Home and with Ride that they might actually try and do a couple more series, like anthologies. I don't know. Just something with an ensemble cast that gives us more time to really dig in to all the different characters and stories. But that is wishful thinking, probably, but we'll see. So tell me what you thought. Did you love it? Do you think I'm crazy? Did you notice all of the times Casey had to lean down because he is 6'5" and she is 5'3"? Yeah. I feel like that sums up this movie somehow. So comment below, tell me what you thought. Even if you disagree with me, I love hearing that too. And come back again for more June wedding movie reviews. Hopefully the next one I won't be so annoyed. Okay, so let's talk about Trader Joe's organic Earl Grey tea. No, let me know what you're drinking, but let's talk about Love's Greek to Me. Did you also have mixed feelings? I have seen a lot of mixed reviews. So let's start with the good, the things I liked. The three main ones were Tori DeVito. Love her. I will watch anything she does for Hallmark. If Tori's in it, it's like instantly elevated. I also loved the wardrobe in this movie. Everyone looked fantastic. Tori was stunning. Loved so many of her outfits. And the location. Greece looked amazing. Santorini, beautiful. It is on my bucket list. I am pretty sure it was put on my bucket list when Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants came out. And guys, I thought that I was like 18 when that movie came out, but I looked it up and I was like 27. So that was painful. But yes, that movie also cemented Michael Rady into my brain. So one day Greece is on the travel list for sure. Anyways, Alana and Mike are dating. They've been dating for what, 1 year, 2 years? And they are going to Greece to see his family for his sister's wedding. He proposes and his mom immediately starts planning the wedding. So guys, I hate it when there is a mom character like this. I know stereotypes come from somewhere, and maybe there are some moms out there like this. The manipulative, passive-aggressive, guilt-tripping, overbearing, just awful people. But I just hate this trope in movies. I can't stand it. No offense to Marina Sirtis, who is a legend, and she was wonderful in this, which is probably why I hated the character so much, because she played it so well. But I just can't stand this trope. So that's a major strike against this movie for me. Okay, I'm having trouble articulating my thoughts on this movie. Maybe because some parts of it hit a little close to home. So we have Alana. She is an only child raised by her mom. compared to Mike, who comes from this, you know, stereotypical big, boisterous Greek family. And those are two very different dynamics. Of course, Alana is going to be a bit overwhelmed to begin with, and it might take a little while to warm up and feel comfortable in that new, very unfamiliar type of family dynamic. But when they get to Greece, it just felt like Mike sort of left her to hang out with his family on her own and didn't really try and support her in any way or help her get used to what his family was like. And his family was lovely. Like, his sister was super nice and welcoming, and the mom was in her way. But having grown up with his mom, I feel like Mike could have done more to prepare her and help her and support her, and addressing issues directly with his mom instead of telling Alana that he would and then he doesn't, and actually comes back and is like, oh, well, yeah, actually, I agree with my mom. This is what I want. So these two had a lot of issues they needed to discuss. And when it kind of comes to a head, I feel like she got blamed a bit. Like, well, you're the one who doesn't want to talk about these issues. Well, dude, like, you could have forced some conversations about these issues. And, well, you're the one who, you know, doesn't get close to people because you're afraid they're going to leave you. I mean, of course she is. And if you already know that about her, I feel like that would make you more empathetic or understanding to her reactions and responses to things. Then we have him getting upset with her because she didn't tell him immediately that her friend was going to leave that dig site, and that could be a job potentially for her. And it's like, some people just need time to process something themselves first without hearing input from everybody else. Like, she needed to figure out what she wanted first. And of course she knew you'd be like, that's the solution to our problem, when, like, maybe it wasn't the solution to the problem if she didn't want that job. And if she didn't want that job, like, why would she tell you? So I don't know. These people had a lot of things to talk about. And part of me loves that, because that's more what real relationships are like. But this is a Hallmark movie, and we don't come to Hallmark for that. That's not what you expect from a Hallmark Channel movie. I'm not opposed to it. Like, you know, The Way Home and Ride, like, those have some messy characters. But this is an 84-minute movie, and Hallmark just does not do messy very well. Like, there's just not enough time to dig deep enough in on the issues and the resolutions to wrap it up in a satisfactory way. We do end with a wedding. I think it flashed forward a year, but we didn't see any of the hard stuff that would have needed to take place in that year for me to believe that this couple is gonna stay together. You know? I've also seen people think it was weird that she just had no traditions. But unless you grew up in a family with a strong culture or religious belief that comes with big traditions, like, I think it's totally normal to not have traditions. Like, the only thing I can think of in my life that I would call a tradition is opening the one present on Christmas Eve, and it's always pajamas, right? And it just depends. Like, I mean, traditions are handed down, so very dependent upon your family history, how your parents were brought up, how their parents were brought up. Like, you just might not have any big, huge traditions. And that's okay. I felt like they thought it was a character flaw that she just had no traditions. You feel like we need justice for Alana and her only child, one parent upbringing, right? So, I don't know, guys. I mean, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm having trouble articulating all of the thoughts in my head. This was just, it was a miss for me. I'm not gonna watch it again. Should you watch it? Sure, yeah. If you love Tori, if you love Grease, like, give it a watch. It's worth it. I'm never gonna tell you not to watch something because everyone likes different things, and I've heard some people that loved this movie. Some people that hated it more than I did, which I wouldn't say I hated it. I think I ended up giving it 3.5 on Instagram. My bar, like 3 stars, is just like a generic, plain old status quo Hallmark movie. 3.5 is like, it was above par, but I'm not necessarily gonna rewatch it. And I went 3.5 because it was above par for Tori and the wardrobe and the location. The story just needed some work, and there were things that did not work for me. What did you think? Did you love it? Because I have heard that some people have just loved it. Did you hate it? Because I've heard that as well. Or are you kind of middle of the road, unsure, like I am? Comment and let me know. Hopefully the next movie is a little more yay or nay with less mixed feelings, because I hate these mixed feelings ones. I just want to watch the movie and be happy and go on with my life. So let me know what you thought. The 3 main things I loved about this movie would be Tori DeVito, her wardrobe, and Grease. Oh shoot, I didn't change my letterboard. Awesome. Just a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about The Wedding Contract. This is the 3rd movie in Hallmark's June Weddings series, and it's a Jewish one. So we've had a handful of Jewish movies from Hallmark the last couple of years, and I do love them. I love seeing a glimpse into a different culture and religion, and just find the traditions and practices really interesting. But I never know if Hallmark got it right or not. So if you know, please comment below and educate the rest of us. The actors, Becca Tobin and Jake Epstein, are both Jewish, so hopefully with them on set, they would have corrected anything that wasn't correct. And Karen Berger, the writer, has written a lot of Hallmark, including some of the previous Jewish ones. So hopefully everything was right. If you know, comment below and let us know. So overall, I thought this was cute. I think they're almost too cute as a couple. We first meet them when Jake trips over her legs, which was funny. I laughed. But she apologizes and says it's her fault, which it was absolutely not her fault. If Jake was running close enough to those people on benches that he would trip over their legs, he was too close to them. So it was all his fault. And then we get a really interesting sort of montage through the opening credits, showing their dating history, since the movie skips to their engagement, so we miss all of that. So I thought that was a creative way to give us a look at their courtship. But the way they did it with like pictures, but they were drawings, I don't know if they ran it through a filter or if it was an AI thing. Some of the pictures were cute and some were creepy. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but yeah, some of them were a little creepy. So we get to the movie, and they've been dating for like 6 months, and he is meeting her family, and that goes well. I love Jake Epstein. He plays that kind of adorable, awkward dork so well, and he's just so endearing, and love him. So he meets the family, they get engaged, and then it basically just becomes a wedding planning movie. The two moms thankfully did not get too stereotypically over the top monster in-law moms. If you saw my last review about Love's Great to Me, you know that I cannot stand that trope. So every time I thought they were about to cross the line, they stopped short, and I ended up really liking the moms. And in the end, they kind of come together to save the day. So that was good. The little boy, he was not listed on IMDb. So whoever played Kevin, he is the cutest thing. He stole the show. Like, if you haven't seen the movie, you have to watch just for Kevin. I don't know how many times I can say adorable, but he is adorable. So that is sad because he's one of her students, and he's got the biggest little crush on her. So anyways, it's cute. You have to watch it for Kevin. So every time I thought there was about to be the conflict, they actually discussed the situation like adults and resolved it. The fact that he got this promotion and they wanted him to move across the country, and he told her right away. I mean, she was not okay with it, but then okay with it within the space of like 10 seconds. So I feel like in real life that would have been a longer conversation. But again, this is Hallmark. It's a 90-minute movie, and they don't have the time to get too deep into the mess of things. So I just accepted that. But the conflict that we do finally get, super annoyed. So Jake gets this promotion and then is all of a sudden working super hard to make sure this top client is happy and satisfied and doing everything for him. And of course the client is wanting all these last minute things, and so Jake's having to do all this travel and back and forth, and then we're like the week of the wedding and he has to go, and he doesn't want to go. I mean, obviously he wants to stay there and help with wedding stuff and be there for her, but he also wants to stay employed. So it just bugged me how we finally get to this kind of conflict climax where he's trying to get back for the rehearsal and everything is going wrong. His flight was like delayed, so he missed that, and then he was going to take a train and that didn't work out, so he rented a car and then the car runs out of gas. I mean, I think they were trying to make us mad at his character for doing all this work stuff, but I was totally Team Jake. I can't think of his character's name, but I was Team Jake. Like, he's doing everything to get back to his fiance and back to his wedding and trying so hard, and I did not feel like anyone was understanding of his side of the story. Like, obviously he wanted to be there, and you being mad at him for things that were out of his control does not help the situation. So the line that she says, it's after he got back to the rehearsal late and it was that night and she was upset and she was talking to her mom, I think. And she says something like, if he doesn't have time for a wedding, he's not gonna have time for a marriage. Something like that. And it just bugged me. Like, you've been dating him for 6+ months now. You know he's not always like this with his job. Like, it just so happens that this incredibly stressful time at work lined up with the fast-tracked wedding, and it's just one of those things, and he's trying to make the best of it and do all the things that he can do. And like, I'm so sorry your fiance wants to stay employed so he can provide for you and Henry and the twins. Was it Henry or Harry? I can't remember. And I just did not feel like anyone appreciated how hard he was trying to do it all. I don't know. I find a lot of things annoying when the conflict is about someone having to work. Unless they just make it real obvious that, like, they would rather be at work and, you know, they're not really invested in the relationship. But that was not the case here. And I just felt like she wasn't giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, there's no reason that should have made her question his love for her, you know? So I don't know, maybe that was just me. Let me know if you even noticed that line. Did it bug you too? Or, I mean, did you think he was terrible for trying to stay employed and not lose his job? I mean, we can get into the contract conversation if you want, how they were doing everything to appease this big client in order to get him to sign the contract, when really, like, they should have not been doing any of this stuff if he had not signed the contract yet. Like, they were gonna move him across the country for this guy, and the guy hadn't even signed the contract yet. The guy being Garfield Wilson, who we love. So I don't know, it just bugged me. But then we get to the wedding, of course. They get married, and we had a little eye-rolly gift of the Magi moment, where, you know, she quits her job but didn't tell him, and then he quit his job and didn't tell her, and then of course it works out fine. So that was all wrapped up in a pretty little eye roll bow. So overall, it was cute, it was fine, it was a standard Hallmark movie. I do like Becca and Jake, and I thought the writing was done well. I mean, there were parts that made me laugh and cry when he saw his dad's prayer shawl in the huppah. Yes, I teared up. But overall, it was also just a really slow movie. And it wasn't necessarily slow in a boring way, because there was stuff happening. I mean, it wasn't crazy exciting, but I just kept looking at the time and being shocked at how much time was left to go. So I'm not like in a rush to watch it again. If I had Hallmark on in the background and it came on, I wouldn't turn it off. But I'm, you know, I don't see myself seeking it out again to watch. Just nothing against Becca or Jake or the Jewish culture. It was just kind of a slow status quo movie for me, which, you know, I haven't loved any of the June weddings so far. And honestly, this whole 2023 season so far, there have only been a couple of clear winners. So you should definitely give it a watch. It's definitely worth, you know, one viewing at least. And there are people out there that are just raving about it. So don't take just my review for it. Go watch it yourself and let me know what you thought. And we will talk next time about the final June Weddings movie, which I am blanking on the name of. Make Me a Match. So yeah, I will link that right here, I think. And I'll see you next time. Okay, so we made it to the end of June weddings. So let's talk about Make Me a Match. This was delightful. Perfect? No. This was really fun, especially in comparison to the last 3 that we got. Eva Bourne, I loved her, loved seeing her as a lead. She's been on When Calls the Heart, and she was the daughter in the Garage Sale Mysteries. So I thought it was really fun to see her as a lead in a movie. And then Rushi Kota, I believe that's his name, I should have looked it up. He was on Never Have I Ever as Kamala's arranged fiance guy. He was real fun in this. Happy to see him on Hallmark. Him and his perfect hair. I thought they were super cute together. Chemistry was great from the first scene. Their banter was wonderful. Like I just had a smile, a literal smile on my face when I was watching. So this was cute. Loved seeing parts of Indian culture with the matchmaking and the engagement party and the wedding stuff. Movies like this one and the Jewish one just make me wish I came from a culture that had more kind of ingrained deep traditions and practices. I don't know, there's just something beautiful about it, like a connection, I don't know. But this was really fun. I loved the meet cute. I think that was a new one for Hallmark. Getting hit in the head with a coin meant for a wishing fountain. That was funny, made me laugh. Something that did not make me laugh, however, it like skeeved me out, was Data Mate. That is a terrible name for this app. Like the word mate just does not belong in society anymore. The only place the word mate is appropriate is if you are discussing the fated mates trope of a fantasy novel. Like, that's it. It's the only time the word mate is appropriate. Which is silly because I always think it's dumb when people like can't stand the word moist. I'm like, guys, it's just a word, get over it. Until this Data Mate thing happened, and now I'm like, okay, yeah. Nope, don't like it at all. So we have this dating app that uses the data to find you the perfect match, and Eva's character, Vivi, who works there, is in charge of figuring out the data that they need to gather, and she is a success story, so she's in their marketing for it until we find out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, and her boyfriend was played by Patch May, who will get redemption next month when he does his movie with another When Calls the Heart star, Andrea Brooks. So that looks cute. Anyways, back to Make Me a Match. We find out he's cheating, and so she calls it off, and then she wants to know why the data was wrong, like how they're, how did they get it so wrong, and have they gotten it wrong for other people? And she finds out that they have gotten it wrong for other people, and she is like shocked at the numbers and that their success rate is actually so low and that so many people are repeat users. And so she decides, they come across Reina, who is an Indian matchmaker, and her success rate is like 95% or something. So she's like, oh my goodness, let's find out what she's doing and incorporate that and work with her, and approaches her boss with it, and he's kind of on board. He says she can run with it. And my thought is he is not going to be on board, because if you are more successful, you're going to have less repeat customers, which means less profit. Kind of like the diet industry, but I will not get on my soapbox about that. Which does end up happening later on in the movie, because he's like, no, let's stop this partnership, because we actually don't want to be successful, because we want people to keep paying us. So, let's see. So Vivi decides to go through Raina's matchmaking process. Well, she doesn't decide. She's talked into it, to see what it's really like and gather data from the way Raina does things. And she ends up that the guy she hit in the head with the coin is Raina's son, and he works for the company. So they end up spending a lot of time together. And they are just adorable together. I loved every scene with them. Which, I mean, to do the matchmaking, she had to sort of date some other people. So I feel like we didn't get as much time with them, those two, on screen as we could have, which is sad. And the whole dating montage of the other guys, I think they were going for funny. None of it really landed for me. I did love that we got to see Darian Martin, though. He was one of the guys, and one of the guys that she got the farthest along in the process with. And it was fun to see him, but then of course, you know, it doesn't work out, and she's like, what was me? It's hopeless. But of course it's not. And her and Boom realize their feelings for each other and end up together, obviously. No surprise there. The only thing I thought was gonna happen, and I kind of wish it had, because I feel like it would have been cute, was that I thought somehow Raina was gonna like do something to be like, see, I knew you guys were the perfect pairing, and I did this and this and this to help you see it. And then it would have been fun to see like a flashback of them, like in the Mysteries, when you know, they're thinking back on all the things that have happened and they put it together. I thought it would have been fun to see Raina say something, and then they realize like, oh, she did this to us and made us talk about this and this. And anyways, I thought that was going to be a thing, and it wasn't, which is fine. The other part of the story that I really liked was exploring Boom's grief about his dad passing away, and how he was dealing with that or not dealing with that. And just that storyline with him and his mom was really sweet and totally had me crying. I did enjoy kind of the not so perfect family dynamic that Vivi grew up in. Again, it's a 90-minute Hallmark movie. They don't have time to get real messy in a satisfying way. So just briefly touching on it, how, you know, she grew up trying to be the peacemaker between her parents, and how that it's kind of affected who she is today, and how she deals with things and responds to things and copes. I don't think you should ever surprise your parents with marriage counseling. Probably not a good idea, but I did like how their story played out as well, with them deciding to get divorced. You know, just sort of realizing the people they've become, and they kind of weren't putting in the work along the way to stay connected, and I guess decided that they don't want to put that work in now to kind of reconnect, and that they'll just be happier, like they care about each other, but they'll be happier people, you know, separated. So I would have loved kind of more about that, but there's just not enough time to explore that. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting story choice for a Hallmark movie. But they've been doing some surprising things like that lately, and I'm here for it. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, there, as much as some things didn't work for me, like the dating montage with other guys and whatnot, overall this was just really cute and really fun and really beautiful to look at, and acting and writing I thought was above par. So I landed at 4 stars. It's definitely one that I would watch again if I saw that it was coming on. I'm not obsessed with it. Like, I'm not gonna probably purposefully seek it out multiple times a year to watch, but it's super cute. I would definitely recommend it, and I would love to see these two together again, and I'd also be happy to see them as leads with other people too. So let me know what you thought. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think the meet cute was cute? Are you also upset about the word mate? Let me know what you thought, and then come back next month because it is Christmas in July, and I am very excited about one of the movies. Not so much the other one, but definitely very excited, like beyond excited for one of them. So be sure and come back for that. So I landed at 4 stars, because I would definitely watch again if I see. So I landed at 4 stars.